Yes, Abhinav, if you can brief us a little bit about yourself,
Yes.
your
Okay,
experience,
so
what sort of skills you
mhm,
bring, and then we can start
yes.
the interview process.
Okay. So myself, Abhinav Singh. So I'm currently working as a cloud and DevOps engineer in Releva Technologies. So I have around 2 years of hands-on experience
Hmm.
in AWS, Terraform, Ansible, building pipelines using Jenkins. What else I did basically? So yeah, those are the things which I did. And for infra automation, I use Terraform. And for configuration management, I sometimes use Ansible or sometimes I directly go into the VM and do those kind of configurations. And for create, I also did some work on Kubernetes and Docker also. So basically, in pipelines in our company, we use Docker.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So it was more tool focused introduction.
Okay.
Okay, cool. We'll see. So what are the typical day-to-day activities in the life of a DevOps
Yes.
engineer? If you can explain a little bit.
Okay. So basically, my day-to-day work around is like as soon as we at 9:30 we have a Scrum call. So basically, in the Scrum call, we sit with the developers. So if there any issue, we talk with the developers. For example, let's say if the one container is not working, so they told us like this container is not working. So can you just look into this part? So we provide them logs from the container why it's not working. If it's from the we can say networking side, or if it's from sometimes what happened is they didn't write the code correctly. So basically in the Node.js they don't use try catch error, so
Mhm.
some errors. So basically, we have to look into the logs and then we communicate with the development team like this is happening. For other tasks, maybe like let's say there's some new project came up. So we talk with the developer. So basically, they need some test environment where they can deploy where they can deploy their application
Mhm.
and play around with the application, like if it's working fine or not. So basically, we have to create the infra, a small infra for the test environment, for sometimes for a particular developer, or sometimes for a team of developers, and we create the CI/CD pipeline so they can just push the code on the Git. And we talk around with them like which branch you want, if it's a feature branch or main branch or testing branch, and then according to that we create the pipeline
Okay.
for them so they can just push the code and play around with the application.
Okay. So you talked a lot about container and all. So what is Kubernetes pod and how is it different from a container?
So basically, container. So contain. So pod in a pod we can run multiple containers also,
Hmm.
and pod is the terminology of Kubernetes. So basically, Kubernetes use pod to basically, for example, let's say we have a deployment and we wanted to we need three pods for that deployment. So basically, pod is more of a Kubernetes technology. Inside the pod, again, the container is running.
Hmm. Okay. So they are same thing roughly.
Yeah, same things roughly. Yes.
And what happens when a pod dies in a Kubernetes cluster? What really happens?
So there can be multiple reasons why a pod died. For example, let's say I did a deployment and there's some image issue. So there's some error called image pull off. So there can be multiple reasons why but it depends if we did a deployment, then
Hmm.
so basically deployment make sure that this particular number of pod should be there. So it's automatically going to create a new pod. For example, one pod is down, so it's automatically to create a new pod for against that pod.
How does that work? Who does that activity?
Okay, so basically basically inside the deployment there's a replica set which makes
Hmm.
sure like if everybody so it's creating the pod. Deployment told them that this much pods I am needing, and then it's connected with the replica set and replica set creates the pod.
Okay. And have you used deployments and stateful sets?
I did deployment stateful set. I never got the opportunity. So basically, but I know like why we use a stateful set. So
Hmm.
basically, for example, what I have seen in my company for MySQL, if we wanted to deploy MySQL, so in that case we use the stateful set. So we need some persistent, basically
What
state
are the
maintainable system.
readiness and liveness probes in Kubernetes?
Readiness and
Liveness.
this thing I'm not. Oh.
Do you know anything about the props?
No.
Okay, what is a sidecar container?
These kinds of terminologies I'm not aware about this. So
A
basically, I
sidecar,
didn't work too much on Kubernetes.
okay,
So that's why, yes.
okay.
Yeah. So in
Have
our
you
company,
worked on
we,
Helm charts, Argo CD?
yeah. So basically, in single case, we use Argo CD. So
Mm-hmm,
basically, what happened, we have a requirement. So basically, we directly bought a ready to use cluster from Akamai.
mm-hmm,
And in that, we didn't use Helm chart. We already have a deployment file. We use that deployment file. And for Argo CD, we create this. So basically, we push that deployment file into the Git and we connect it with the Argo CD. For example, next time we push the new deployment file, so it's automatically going to deploy.
okay, so you haven't worked so much
Yes.
on Kubernetes cluster, that's fine.
Yes.
And even the cluster you got auto provisioned through
Yes, from the
some
Akamai, yes.
provider. So let's skip that.
Yes.
Tell me, why do we use load balancers in cloud? What really load balancers do in cloud?
So for example, we have same application. We have single application and to increase the availability, to increase what we can say, if the load increases, so
Mm-hmm,
we know if the load is going to be increased, so we did the horizontal scaling. Now
mm-hmm,
the problem is we can't give user every single IP of every single VM
mm-hmm.
or instance. So
Okay.
that's why we connect all of the instances to a single load balancer and we give user that single load balancer IP or the DNS.
Give me few examples where load balancer is not doing load balancer, but few other things.
Okay, where load balancer is not doing load balancing about few
So
other
is it
things.
just for
Yeah,
load balancing or does it do anything else?
yeah, basically it can do one more thing. For example, it can see, for example, I have three VM and it's connected to a single load balancer.
Mm-hmm,
And one of my VM is down. So
mm-hmm.
it's basically going to give load to the remaining two load balancers, and it can trigger this thing like this VM is this instance is not healthy. So this thing also load balancer it.
Okay. Okay. So it can do health checks. It
It
can do
can do health checks,
path-based
yes. Yes.
routing. It can
Yes.
do different kind of routing. So there are many
Yes.
things that load balancer
There are
does
many things which load balancer does.
apart from load balancing.
Yes.
Okay. Can you explain what exactly is DevOps?
So, I mean, it's a very broad term. So
Mm-hmm,
it's not just CI/CD. There are multiple things came into the DevOps.
mm-hmm,
We have to, you can say it's more of a terminology which we use
mm-hmm.
nowadays. So there are many things which DevOps guided. We have to sit with the development team. We have to understand their demands, like what they want. We have to understand like how the infra is going to be, how much load is going to be on the infra. So everything we have to accumulate.
But what
And
exactly
again,
it means? Like, is it talking to developers is DevOps?
no, it's not just talking to developers. Uh, we can more say it's like we are, of course, we are talking to developers, but there are multiple things to the DevOps part,
Mm-hmm,
creating the pipelines, creating the infra,
mm-hmm.
and automating manual things. So these all of things are come to the DevOps scene. Yes,
Okay.
automation is one more big thing which happened in the DevOps.
Okay. Okay. And tell me, like, what is this, some of the terms when you are provisioning database, say RDS or some database, or you
Mhm,
said MySQL in cluster, what are the things you have to be careful? Like, how do you determine which database to use or
mhm,
features it should have so that your
mhm,
development team is happy, your
mhm,
production team is happy? So what are
mhm.
the key things when selecting a database?
Yeah, so this thing I'm little bit aware about because
Mhm,
initially in my company for 6 months I work as a Node.js backend developer.
mhm,
So basically what we try to find is it's depend on the use cases.
mhm,
There are some cases in which we want key value pair databases. For
mhm.
example, for login, sometimes we use Firebases also which is a key value pair database. Sometimes we need, of course, again a structured, again the RDS we use for transactional values. So if there's some
Let's
transaction going on.
cut it, like, let's say you have to give them a relational database.
Yes.
What would be your suggestions? What would be the conversation be like?
Okay, what would be the conversation?
with the
with the
developer.
developer team.
Yeah,
Hmm.
development will say that I don't care. I need a MySQL database. So would you do it in
Hmm.
Kubernetes cluster or would you do it in RDS from AWS? What would that discussion be like? What things you will consider when giving some
Hmm.
suggestions to your developers?
Okay, so basically they already asked me to create RDS.
Mhm. No,
Now I have
he asked
to,
you for to a relational database. That's it.
they asked me for a relational database, yes. So I can, if it's a production base, then of course I would love to go with the RDS
Okay.
because it's more of a SaaS because the AWS is going to maintain everything.
Okay.
So the downtime is very low
Mm-hmm.
and the read and replica application is because we don't have to maintain then all of those things. So
Hmm.
everything is going to be maintained by AWS. So
Okay.
these kind of things I can explain them like this benefits we get and we can scale it according to ourselves and the downtime is very low.
So how can we do that? That for their non-prod environment, they can use maybe Kubernetes cluster and MySQL there. And then for the
So
prod,
in in our company for the testing environment, we
Mhm.
basically just take a normal instance, we
Mhm.
install MySQL on that instance, and we play around with that.
Okay. And in
Yes.
production, you use RDS.
And in production, we use generally we suggest client that we are going to use RDS
Only for
because
prod.
then the down. Yes.
Okay. That is cool, right? This saves you a lot of cost. Having a
Yes. Which yes.
your
Yes.
non-prod may be slightly
Mhm.
different from prod, but it saves you cost.
Yes. It's very different. Yes. It's very different.
But is it a good idea to have it different or is it's okay?
I mean, in our case, it's okay. Again, if you ask me, then I would love to go with the RDS only in the non-prod also, because
Hmm.
then the environment is going to be same. Then we can know how when application is going to be deployed on production, how it's going to act. So in
Okay.
the test environment, we have the same thing, then it would be good.
Okay.
But we can, of course, we can lower the specifications to cut down the cost. Yes.
Okay. What is DevSecOps?
That part, I think, in the deploy at the time of deployment and every creating the infra, the secure in which we are specifically looking for the security part
Only
is
when we are
more included in the
deploying application.
oh no for everything at the time of automation at the time of creating CI/CD pipeline. So we
Mhm.
are not going to expose the secrets.
So give
So
me three,
everything
four examples of what those security things you would take care.
right now, I think I didn't work on the security part. But from the AWS infra perspective, I can explain you like what steps we use for the security.
Can you tell me?
Okay, so basically, instead of directly using any VM, we prefer to create a particular VPC, again, which is an isolation environment, which gives you a lot of security.
Mm-hmm.
Then, until and unless we know that this, for example, and only for UI, we uses the public subnet. Otherwise, we use private subnets.
Can we talk about this
Mhm.
a little bit for why do you need a public instance for UI?
Because until unless you have a public IP, no
It's
user
very
can't. Yes, no user. Yes.
That's a tricky thing, right? For everything, um, we have to expose everything on internet. Isn't that
Mhm.
scary?
I mean, again, if you have right sets of security groups, for example, for
Mhm.
every instance you are using security groups, and for every subnet you are using NACL. So I think you can prevent a lot of things.
So,
And I think there's something called WAF also, Web Firewall in the
mhm.
AWS.
But
So you can
that
use that
sounds
also.
so in your environment, you see
Mhm.
that instances are public, but you have managed good.
Only public. Yes, only for the UI we use the public instances. For backend and database are only in the private subnet.
Okay. And you don't see a problem because you have already secured it with security groups and
Yes,
knackers. So
yes.
what ports are open on that machine?
Only port 80. Sorry, 443. It's HTTPS 443.
How do you connect to that instance to troubleshoot something?
The public subnet one.
Yeah.
So for the public subnet, so we can directly connect. For private subnet, we created one jump server.
Public, how do you connect? Because port is not open. Which port? Port 22 is not
So
open.
what we did, we basically manually go to that particular instance.
Uh-huh.
Then we, for that particular time, we open that port, and as soon as the work is done, we again close that port.
Do you see the
So this
problem?
thing is manual. Yes, there is problem. We again every time manually we have to do this.
Okay. And what is the solution?
This solution we haven't like work around right now. I think we can use again. We can again use jump server for that also. I think this thing we
Hmm.
can do.
Okay. And why don't you use a load balancer in front of these machines?
Oh, right now I'm talking about this test environment in front. So in test environment, we only use single instances. In the
Mm-hmm.
production, of course, we use load balancers. So we have a single load balancer, and behind that load balancer, we have a public subnet. Not the public subnet, this UI subnetted. And behind the UI subnetted, we have one again load balancer, which is connected to all of the backend.
Hmm.
And that UI is connected to that backend load balancer.
The UI
So
subnet
that
is public or private?
UI subnet is
Public or private?
that is private in this case.
Okay. So your non-prod is entirely different. It's not matching at
Yes,
all.
yes. In our company, it is totally different. Yes, because
And
basically it's a small company, so we have to do it very quickly. We don't have that much of a time. We quickly
hmm.
need to deploy things, and nowadays AI is coming,
Hmm.
so you can say this the creating of UI and backend is quite fast. So
Okay.
user just yes, yes. So that's why
How
it's
frequently do you
yeah.
deploy to production?
How frequently? I think it's around 20 to 22 days once the application is ready, and then we only deploy if there is any bug or any new feature which we have to deploy.
That's not fast, right? Once in a month is.
Yes.
No,
But in testing environment we push very frequently.
I'm saying in production you are not deploying fast enough.
Yes. So basically again we can't do anything, it's totally depend on the manager. So once they have a green check, then we do this things.
Hmm. Okay.
So
All your experience is in the non-prod environment, not much in the prod,
yes.
right? Because all the questions you're answering for non-prod environment.
Yes.
Okay. What is the difference between Git and GitHub?
So basically you can say again both of them are version control, but
Hmm.
GitHub you can say it's more how can I explain it? So basically GitHub is on top of Git, so just it give you a UI interface so you can play around with Git more easily.
Okay. Yeah, but otherwise it's pretty same. There is not much.
Yes, everything, yes.
Can you explain me what is reverse proxy?
Yes, so for example in again in our test environment what we did, we have multiple containers running, so
Hmm.
we use Apache as a reverse proxy. So we already set in the Apache, if some request is coming on this with this particular DNS, you have to divert this traffic to this particular container. If request is coming from this DNS, you have to divert the net request to this particular container.
Okay. What is this like? Do we really need it? A load balancer can do it, right?
Yeah, load balancer can do, but again, if you don't want to, it's a very small environment. You don't want to use that much of money, so it's a very cost saving.
Okay.
Yes.
What is the difference between availability zone and region?
Basically, region is a big geographical area. For example, Mumbai is a region,
Hmm.
and in Mumbai there are three different availability zones. So of course there's some distance between them, and there's particular physical data centers in the availability, three availability zones.
Okay. When should I deploy across region?
Okay, so when should I deploy cross region? So if I know my users are in India also, and my users are in America also, so of
Mhm.
course then I have to deploy application on both of the regions, so that the latency is going to be low for both of the users.
How would you know that your Terraform state and the infrastructure that you have is not in sync?
Is not in sync.
Yeah. How would you detect a drift in Terraform?
Okay, so I never faced this problem actually.
So, for example, you
But
have
I think
Terraform, you have created hundreds of resources. I go and
yes,
change. just the load balancer configurations, say from
Mhm.
443 to port 80? How would you know
Yes.
about it?
Mm, I remember these were command to. No, I
Mhm.
think there is no command for this. This thing I'm not able to recall right now.
Have you worked on Terraform modules?
Yes, so basically our senior created the modules and we did little bit work inside the modules. So yeah, so basically they use the good practices to create in the Terraform. Yes.
Okay, you haven't created any module yourself.
Yeah, fully module I didn't create for myself.
What is a backend in Terraform?
No, I'm not sure about this.
A backend in Terraform? You want to think about it?
Backend in Terraform. No, I'm not able to recall this part. Yes.
Okay. And what are data sources in Terraform?
There are multiple basically data sources.
Mhm.
For example, uh, AWS again is a source. No,
Mhm.
AWS is a provider. Sorry, AWS is a provider. One sec, yes. So basically, sources inside the AWS give us different kind of resources to use. So those can be a data resources which we, for example, AWS instance is a resource which we use to create the
Mhm.
instances.
Okay.
EC2. So this is a data source. Yes.
Okay, that way. It okay. So anything, everything, every resource is
Yes.
clearly you haven't worked on Terraform much compared to
Yes. Mhm.
you have not worked on Terraform much.
Not much, yes. I did basic things. So
Mhm.
basically, if they ask me to inside the module, they ask me to create. Let's say can you create a one EC2 instance? So I just copy the code from the Terraform website and just paste it over there
Okay.
and make the configuration change if whatever the AMA or what they want.
What is your most important skill set? What you're really good at?
I think generally I did a lot of the general work, creating the CI/CD pipelines and basic stuff. Yes.
Hmm.
The problem is I have to do everything, but not at the peak. Yeah, the
Okay.
basic stuff I have to do in the every field.
Okay. What is SSL TLS?
So basically, SSL is a is a secure shell layer. So basically, in this we use certificates to secure our website.
How do you do that?
So we created a certificate for a particular domain.
Mm-hmm.
And then how basically what happened is then as soon as user going to hit your particular website, it's going to receive a certificate. And from our server, we gave them the public key also. And
Okay.
then user receive the public key from the DNS provider also, not SSL provider also, SSL authority. Then it's going to compare this thing like if the combination of both of the keys are same, then it's going to understandable that this certificate is correct and the server which I'm talking to is the correct server. Basically, there is no hacker between us.
Okay. Can you tell me what is the difference between cloud and cloud native?
Yeah, basically, cloud includes everything. Applications are very cloud native. Some applications are very cloud native, so they
Mhm.
are very scalable in nature. So you can scale them according to this. Some and cloud includes everything. Yes.
So any application that runs on Kubernetes, is that run a cloud application or a cloud native? What would be classification?
I think it's a cloud. I mean, applications runs on cloud, but it's again depend on the infra also, like how application is applicable to if the application is very scalable according to the time, then we can say this thing it's a cloud native app.
Okay. What is fail fast in DevOps?
Fail fast.
Yep.
Mm, not sure about this terminology.
Okay. I want to know, have you written any serverless Lambda function?
So no, I didn't write any serverless lambda function, but we use this thing in our company. Yes, this thing I'm aware of.
How would you monitor some of the cloud native applications?
I mean, there are multiple ways. If you are in AWS, you can use CloudWatch,
Mm-hmm.
and there's something called Prometheus and
Okay,
Prometheus.
let's take
And
a example. You mentioned about
hmm,
autoscaling groups earlier, that your
yes.
machines are in autoscaling groups. So what happens in autoscaling groups? Instances go up and down.
Hmm,
Let's assume your three instances terminated overnight. How would you
hmm.
debug them because they are not available now?
Okay. So if my security group is attached to a CloudWatch, then I can go to the CloudWatch and check the logs. Like real in the logs, maybe I can find some insight why it is happening. This can be one of the way. And
Mhm.
if my if my instances are attached to the CloudWatch, this thing I can also watch. And in the logs, basically, I have
What
to
kind of
check the
logs?
application logs also.
Mhm.
So matrices logs I can check, like at what time, how much, if it because of the traffic, like some bad traffic is coming on the instances, that's why it's happening, or
Mhm.
is it because of the application level, like
But
if application
application,
is breaking.
but can CloudWatch manage or monitor the application logs? How will it know where the application is running?
So basic, I think in the CloudWatch we can, uh, if the CloudWatch is attached to your instance, you can assign the path also, like
How,
to this particular path logs you can check.
how do you do that? I don't
This
see
part I'm not aware.
anything on the UI where it says where the CloudWatch logs have to be monitored. Is there any?
Okay, but then I can, no, no. Is there any? No, then I'm not sure about like how to do this thing. I thought if it's applicable or not.
Hmm. Yeah, there is no UI where you can
Okay.
inform where
To
the log.
find the, yes, yes. Mhm.
Okay. Are you certified on any DevOps, um, any
No,
cloud
no,
or DevOps space?
no, no.
Okay. Okay. Cool, Abhinav. I got the idea, bit about yourself.
Mhm.
Um, See, what my
Yes,
understanding is you are
yes.
pretty good compared to average 2 years that I have spoken to in past.
Mhm.
So it's you know some of the things better than
Mhm.
others, but you know only the things that you have worked on.
Yes, 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 yes. Mhm.
And now the
Yeah,
space is
this might,
much wider. The space DevOps
yes.
cloud is
Mhm.
much wider. You only know
Mhm.
those limited things that you have
Mhm.
worked on at
Yes.
some stage where seniors gave
Mhm.
you the opportunity.
Yes, yes.
You didn't do anything or you didn't do much beyond that in
Yes,
terms
yes.
of getting certifications, in terms of
Mhm.
doing projects outside, in terms of
Mhm.
doing any sort of effort. Because at 2 years, I would expect at least one serverless function you would have written somewhere. One
Mhm.
Lambda
Yes.
function. Out of
Yes.
curiosity, you have been
Mhm.
getting this serverless lambdas
Yes, yes, yes,
is
yes.
game
Mhm.
changer is in the
Mhm.
especially in the um,
Yes. Mhm.
startup space.
Yes, yes.
Uh,
Mhm.
if you are already jumping onto Kubernetes and deploying containers,
Mhm.
there is definitely a use case for you to look at serverless, and also
Mhm.
in that process you would deploy something. So
Mhm.
that's my suggestion and feedback,
Mhm.
that after a few years you would
Mhm.
be getting into a bit of slightly senior person. You wouldn't be, uh,
Mhm.
your leads will not be managing your day-to-day activities.
Yes, yes,
At
yes,
that
yes.
stage,
Mhm.
I would expect that you will have to make effort from your own
Mhm.
side and do
Yes.
few things outside of your work. It could be
Mhm.
certifications, it could be complex projects, it could be
Yes.
just random things in cloud,
Mhm. Okay. Yes.
right? Right now,
Yes,
it's
yes.
pretty basic at 2 years
Mhm.
experience. I would
Yes. Mhm.
expect that you go a little bit more into monitoring, serverless,
Mhm.
and all that.
Yes. Mhm.
Tell me, how
Yes.
can I help you in the next few minutes?
Okay, so yeah, this is the very good insight which you gave me. This is something I'm looking for. Like, what should I work on next? So,
Mhm.
because most of my seniors told me, like, right now, what you are doing, it's more than enough. You don't have to, jump more around this thing.
Hmm.
And he also told me, like, certifications are not an important thing and something, 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 which again, I also thought, like,
That's
I'm not
that is
sure.
okay. That is the half information. That is, yes,
Mm-hmm.
certifications are not important if you are doing quality projects and doing quality. Maybe you are
Mm-hmm.
going to hackathons every weekend and then you don't need
Yes, yes.
certification because you are
Mm-hmm.
getting those use cases, getting that industry
Yes.
insights
Mm-hmm.
automatically. But saying that it's not useful, it's
Mm-hmm.
it's not useful in a way that if you tell me that I am certified, I am actually going to ask you five more questions and validate your
Yes,
certification. But
yes,
if
yes.
you do that,
Mm-hmm.
then my respect will improve. But if you fail
Yes.
that, then you would also lose some of the points that you might get
Mm-hmm.
certifications in through a wrong
Yes.
process or through dumps or something else.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
So
yes.
it's a bit of a double-edged sword. It's still useful,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
even if it is not useful in impressing a new employer, it is always
Mm-hmm.
useful to give you more confidence.
Yes.
You
Okay. And
cannot you cannot work on
understood.
all these scenarios yourself. A
Mm-hmm.
certification tells you how cloud can be used, how CloudWatch
Mm-hmm.
agent can be
Yeah.
used, how CloudWatch logs will be monitored. Because you cannot work
Mm-hmm.
on all the things by yourself. It will take
Yes,
years,
yes.
years, years and years of
Mm-hmm.
experience. So
Yes.
it's still useful. What you are doing
Mm-hmm.
is okay. Yes, there
Mm-hmm.
may be context to what your mentors and seniors have been suggesting.
Mm-hmm.
If you ask them that should I change a job, they may say no, you are good at where you are. But if they are
Mm-hmm.
saying
Yeah.
they may be right in some way
Mm-hmm.
looking at the market. But if they're saying that if you are doing the same thing from 2 years, you don't need to do anything much, then they may be wrong
Mm-hmm.
because
Yes, yes.
everything
Mm-hmm.
is coming. AI is impacting cloud,
Mm-hmm.
all other things. So you have to be looking at other things as well.
Yes, understood.
Yes.
And I have like one more very important question which I wanted to ask. There are so many tools.
Yep.
Basically, in the CI/CD pipeline only, you have Jenkins, GitHub Actions, GitLab, Azure DevOps. Like, how can a single person can learn everything? And every company demand is different.
Yes.
Like, someone want Jenkins, someone want GitLab,
So
someone
you
want GitHub.
master,
Like,
you
how is
identify the market trends. What I do in my programs and all, I try
yes.
to look at the market trends, what the job descriptions are demanding. So you look at,
Mhm,
if you just apply for 10, 15 positions, you will see what the pattern
mhm,
is coming. You will see that
okay.
GitHub Actions is probably picking, is probably the star tool.
Mhm,
Maybe GitLab after that. Companies are
mhm,
moving away from Azure DevOps to GitHub Actions, GitHub,
okay.
etc.
Mhm.
Jenkins is sort of people are trying to move away from that as
Yes, yes, yes.
it's
Mhm,
getting sort of legacy tool and a lot of
mhm,
security issues and other things.
mhm,
So look at the trend, master the tool that is in trending right now, that is,
mhm,
and then spend a little bit time on that. If you spend time on GitHub Actions, trust me,
mhm.
learning GitLab, Azure DevOps is a piece of cake. It you just okay, this is how it is done. You just have to relate to it.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay,
Right?
okay. Mhm. So
So
just the
if
name
you
is
are
different, but the whole concept is same. Mhm,
if you are really going to Domino's every day or every week, ordering
mhm.
your favorite pizza, if for
Yeah.
some day you have to go to Pizza Hut or a local pizza shop, you can
Mhm,
figure out, okay, I have to select a base, I have to select
mhm,
the toppings, and then that's how a pizza is requested and delivered. So that mindset is there. So once you have mastered one of the tool,
mhm,
then other things you don't have to master them. You have to just
mhm,
use your gut feeling, use your smartness, and find out how
mhm.
you would do it. So
Yes, yes. Okay, okay. Makes sense. Okay. Thank you. So I think those all of my questions. Yes.
sure, Abhinav. Good luck and
Thank you.
let's connect some other.
Well, yeah, I would love to talk to you after 3 months. Let me prepare myself.
Sure. Good luck, man.
Thank you.